As police opened the trunk of the vehicle, they discovered the bodies of the two girls. It was apparent that the girls had been...
The investigator said, "Are you alone?" And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "They're dead, Cheryl. They're murdered. They're dead."
When two high school seniors and best friends left their home in Alabama to attend a birthday party, no one thought that they would end up in the trunk of their car, dead, and that it would take 20 years for the police to solve the case. So, what really happened to them? And did the police find the right killer? Let's look into the mysterious case of J.B. Beasley and Tracy Howlett, the two teens who were shot to death in a car and abandoned. J.B. Hilton Green Beasley was born on July 31st, 1982 in Troy, Alabama. Her parents, Cheryl and Hilton Laner Beasley, separated when she was still very young, and she moved to Dothan with her mom in 1984. A few years later, her mom remarried and had 4 more daughters. JB grew up to be an outgoing, energetic, and athletic girl who participated in various activities in school, including cheerleading, dancing, and swimming. She had won numerous dancing trophies and awards and even modeled for several local agencies. It was while attending Northview High School that JB met and befriended Tracy Jean Howlett, a fellow cheerleader. Born on March 3, 1982, Tracy was the daughter of Carol and Robert Howlett. Unfortunately, her dad, Robert, who was an officer at the Dothan Police Department, died when she was only 5 years old. Tracy was described as a bit shy and reserved, and very smart and responsible. She was always putting others before herself and was super protective of her 2 younger brothers. The Saturday of July 31st, 1999 was JB's 17th birthday, and the girls were super excited. Some friends had organized a field party for her at the home of another friend called Jana, who lived in Headland, about 10 miles north. At around 10 p.m., the two best friends loaded up JB's black 1993 Mazda 929 and drove off, heading to the birthday party. However, seeing that they were not really familiar with the route they were using, the girls had a difficult time getting to their destination. They were spotted in Headland at around 10:30 p.m. as they stopped at a gas station to call their friends and get better directions.
They never found the party. They never went to the party.
Tracy's curfew was 11:30 p.m., and the girls had attempted to find the party for about an hour before they decided to go back home. At that time, they had somehow found themselves in a place called Ozark, which was like 20 miles northwest of Dothan. They stopped at a big little convenience store, and although the store was closed, Tracy called her mom using the store's payphone and told her that they had gotten lost and were now on their way home.
She said, "Mom, we're on our way home."
Around that time, the teens came across a lady by the name of Marilyn Merritt, who gave them directions on how to get to the highway. Marilyn would later tell the police that she noticed that the girls were neat and clean and their car was spotless. She watched as the girls pulled out of the driveway and headed towards the direction she had shown them, never to be seen alive again. As the hours went by without any sign of the teens, both JB and Tracy's parents started getting worried.
I knew that something beyond her control was keeping her from getting home.
Tracy's mother called the Dothan Police Department around 8 a.m. that morning, and before long, officers began combing the roadways for any sign of a motor vehicle accident. It did not take long for the police to find their first clue. JB's black Mazda was found abandoned on the side of the road on Herring Avenue in Ozark, less than a mile from where Tracy had used the payphone the previous night.
No one was in the vehicle. It was just sitting on the side of the road, no keys in the vehicle.
But what was weird, despite having filled up the gas tank the day before, the tank was almost empty, and the car was muddy. The driver's side window was rolled down a few inches, yet the doors were locked. There was no sign of forced entry, and the girls' purses were still in the car. JB's driver's license was on the dashboard, but where were the girls? Police scoured the area for hours searching for the teens, but they were nowhere to be found. Interestingly, it took 6 hours for the police to realize that they could actually open the trunk of the car with an interior latch without needing a key. And when they finally popped open the trunk, they made a grisly discovery.
As police opened the trunk of the vehicle, they discovered the bodies of the two girls. It was apparent that the girls had been watched.
The investigator said, "Are you alone?" And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "They're dead, Cheryl. They're murdered. They're dead."
They were both fully clothed, but their pants were soiled below the knee. Tracy had a 9mm shell casing resting on her leg, scratches on her arm, and her jeans had thorn briars on them. It was determined that she had been placed first in the trunk. JB, on the other hand, was muddy and dirty, and her recently purchased tennis shoes, in particular, were covered in mud. The police determined that the girls had been shot inside the trunk, but not necessarily in the area where the car was found. The car had been spotted there as early as 3 a.m., but preliminary autopsy results placed the girls' time of death at 12:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. At first, investigators had considered a robbery as a possible motive, but they quickly ruled that out because all of the girls' belongings were still in the car.
One of the girls' purses was located in the front area of the car, had money, credit cards, things of value in there, so which would lead us to believe that the motive was not robbery.
An autopsy confirmed that neither of the girls had any traces of alcohol or drugs in their system. There was no sign to indicate that the girls had been violated, though seminal fluid was later found on JB's bra, panties, and skin. What happened that night, and how did the girls end up being murdered? Investigators were working around the clock trying to find the killer, but days turned into weeks without them even coming close to figuring out what happened to JB and Tracy. They tried offering a reward, hoping that it would motivate people to come forward with information that would help solve the case. But for a while, nothing happened. Until September 1st, 1999, when a guy by the name of Johnny William Barentine walked into Ozark Police Station with a bizarre story. He claimed that on the night of the murders, around the same time that Tracy had called her mom from the payphone, he had gone out to buy some milk for his son when he witnessed the horrendous crime. His wife told the police that he returned home around 1 a.m. visibly shaken and told her that his car had been hit by a black truck bearing Dothan tags nearing Herring Avenue. When he later shared this information with his friends, they encouraged him to go to the authorities as it would be a good lead that would help authorities find the killer, and he could also collect the reward. However, as investigators continued to interrogate him for more information, he changed his story 6 times. His original story was that he saw a black truck speeding away from the area the 2 girls were found, but later, he claimed that he picked up a tattooed guy that he didn't know and drove him to the Big Little convenience store. While there, the man supposedly got into a car with 2 girls and told Johnny to follow them. When asked if he knew the identity of the girls, he reportedly answered, "The dead girls." Johnny went on to say that they ended up on Herring Avenue, where the man forced the girls out of the car. He said that the girls were struggling to get away, but the man pushed them inside the trunk and he heard 2 gunshots. When the man returned, Johnny again gave him a ride away from the scene and then went home. In yet another version, Johnny claimed that the tattooed man he had given a ride to was actually his neighbor, who lived less than a mile from Herring Avenue. However, when the police looked into the neighbor, they quickly ruled him out as a suspect as he had a strong alibi. Johnny, on the other hand, was arrested and charged with the girls' murder. At this point, he recanted his story, saying that he had made it up for the reward money, and since his DNA did not match the one found at the scene, he was later released and cleared as a suspect. After this setback, investigators followed multiple leads and looked into several other suspects, but they were all dead ends. After several years without any successful outcome, the case went cold.
It's another year without any answers. Another year that we're, still trying to find answers.
After remaining cold for years, the case was revived in 2015 when a woman came forward with some shocking information that added another twist into the case. The woman, who was identified as Rena Crum, was actually an Ozark police officer, and she openly accused one of her colleagues of killing the 2 girls and others for covering up the crime. Rena alleged that on that fateful night of July 31st, 1999, an Ozark police officer pulled up JB and demanded to know where she had hidden some cassette tapes that supposedly contained recorded conversation incriminating Ozark police for being involved in some shady dealings. According to Rena, the incident escalated, leading to the murders of the 2 teens. Rena further said that she had been threatened by several officers who knew about the murders and covered it up by destroying the evidence. She mentioned 3 officers, Gary Whittington, Rex Tipton, and Eddie Henderson, Anderson, who had reportedly been harassing and threatening her. She even claimed that the then police chief, Tony Spivey, knew everything. However, for some reason, she never mentioned the name of the officer who supposedly committed the murders. The officers she mentioned, of course, denied everything, and not surprisingly, this lead was never followed. Fast forward to 2019. As the 20th anniversary of the murders approached, police in Ozark decided to give the case one more look. There had been some major advances in DNA technology that led to several high-profile cases being solved, most notably the Golden State Killer.
Last fall, I sought the services of Parabon Nanolabs, a DNA technology company in Virginia, to assist us in the investigation. The genetic genotyping yielded a match to the DNA sample, again taken from the crime scene in 1999. Now, on March 15th, 2019, investigators located and arrested 45-year-old black male Coley McCraney of Dothan. McCraney grew up here in Ozark, and he attended all of his schools here in Ozark.
Coley McCraney was a 45-year-old military veteran who also worked as a truck driver and a preacher. At the time of the murders, he was 25 years old and living in Ozark, about a mile from where JB and Tracy's bodies were found. The news of his arrest shocked everyone in the area, as he was known to be a respectable member of the community. He had no previous criminal records and was never even considered a suspect during the initial investigation.
I was surprised when I saw the results. And every person I talked to said the same thing, but the DNA doesn't lie.
It's unclear why he murdered the two girls, but some reports say that on the day JB and Tracy were murdered, McCraney had missed a court date in which he was supposed to undergo a DNA test over a paternity dispute. McCraney pleaded not guilty in the slangs, and to a charge that he had violated one of the victims. His defense had relied on the testimony of Rena Crum to show that someone else had killed the girls. But in a surprising turn, Rena recanted her statement, saying that she lied about a fellow police officer killing the teens. Since his arrest, McCraney's trial has been pushed back several times and is now set to begin in April 2023. The DA had mentioned that they'll be seeking the death penalty in this case.
He is death penalty eligible, absolutely.
With it, let me see it.
Yes.
What do you think about this case? Do you think McCraney did it? Let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting videos.